It's Christmas, and we have a special gift for you. We have Jay from New York, now living in Florida. But before we get into him, welcome again to another episode of the 1% in Recovery podcast, where we encourage you to laugh every day. Work hard, even on Christmas. Work hard in relationships. Work hard in recovery. Work hard in your business, your job, school. Just work. And to love unconditionally. Just put much more love out there and watch much more love return. Now, we encourage people to download the Recovery Growth Scorecard. It's free. It's on the website, lifeiswonderful.love, Love. That's where we tell people how to get natural dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin. You got to start changing that neuroplasticity in your brain. You got to start healing the brain. And that way you can start really jump-starting your recovery. Now, we are ready for our interview. Jay, how are you feeling today?
Christmas Day spent watching the sunrise on the beach with my best girl, and doesn't get much better than that.
Not better. You miss the cold of New York on a Christmas day, or it's a little bit of both?
Well, I like to get up there because I have great memories of Christmas time in New York City, but never miss the weather. Never, never.
Not
I
even
heard it.
ice skating on Rockefeller Center?
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. Central Park, Rockefeller Center, Christmas tree, shopping, Fifth Avenue. You know, all the beautiful things about it. But yeah, I don't miss the cold. I heard it was really warm in Houston this week.
Yeah, 80 degrees, man.
Yeah,
Nice and
yeah,
green.
beautiful, beautiful, just like Florida. Can't
Swim,
beat that.
swimming.
Swimming
Party.
weather.
Christmas includes swimming here.
Yeah, here too. Gonna do that right after this.
All right, let's jump in. Tell the audience one thing you love.
Uh, I love the ocean.
You love the sound of the ocean. You love jumping in the ocean. You love the walking on the beach. All of it.
All of it. All of it. I just love it. It's beautiful. And I live 4 miles from there, so that's
That's a gift.
not 4 miles. I could run there on a good day.
That's good. Well, let's jump into the questions. Question one. Now, you like me, one of them double winners because we needed a little more knowledge about addictions and recovery. Tell the audience like the difference between when you stopped drinking compared to when you stopped gambling. Any difference? Was one recovery harder than the other? I mean, I always say mine was when I stopped drinking, I never drank again because I always had gambling for 3 more years. So it was a little easier. Tell us your experience.
Well, I stopped gambling, drinking, and drugging all on the same day a long time ago, but it didn't stick on the gambling end. I left recovery. So to answer the question accurately, uh, it wasn't harder to quit gambling. However, I uh, I didn't want to quit. I didn't come to that full surrender as easily, I suppose. There was always a reservation, and I left Gamblers Anonymous telling myself I would stay clean, which was an obvious lie because I wasn't. Why would I have left Gamblers Anonymous? I wouldn't have if I didn't want to gamble on some subconscious level. So
Well, do you consider yourself more of a gambler or a bigger gambler or a bigger alcohol? See, I always said I'm a bigger gambler than I ever was a drinker.
I think so too for myself too. I think every GA member that also has recovery in AA is similar to that because um, it's just a strong. I guess to answer the question, then it's more difficult to put down the bet than it was to put down the drink. But it's kind of saying the same thing. I'm a gambler first, I would think. I think I was stealing money from mom to get candy for the people that I didn't care about, the other kids, and So that pattern was set before I ever gambled or used the drug or drank. The pattern was already set. So yeah, I think every gambler, if you're a gambler, alcohol comes after that, I guess.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I also think what makes gambling more unique, and I tell this, is that if you're losing gambling, you still think whether the next sports team, whether roll of a dice card is going to get you back to even or even be up. If you're 4 or 5 drinks in, I don't assume drink number 6 is going to get me sober because I don't want to get sober.
Right.
I don't think after taking 3 drags of this blunt that all of a sudden I want to get back. No, I want to continue the high.
Right.
And I think that's where people misunderstand is how, like they say, insidious, how dangerous gambling is because you can be down so much and still have some unrealistic hope, but still hope that you're going to get it back. What do you think?
I like that. I like that. Yeah. It's a very insidious. There is no insidious. Gambling is much more insidious than alcohol. Alcohol, we drink, we get drunk, we fall down.
Yeah,
No
like but
problem.
the way they
No
describe
problem.
alcohol,
Yeah,
it's cunning.
yeah,
Alcohol is more cunning.
right. More cunning, baffling, not insidious like this. They do use insidious. We borrowed a lot of words from AA in our stuff,
But
but
we never said gambling was baffling because we said we always knew better. No, we have a better system.
yeah, we have a better system, and yeah,
It's
and
not
I'm gonna.
baffling.
I mean, I love to talk to the men and women of GA that actually hit the big score and did get out, and just it was just so much worse, just like everybody could imagine. I couldn't imagine it because it never happened for me. The big win to bail out, but many people I've met in program have experienced that. They hit some big score, and it was worse than if they hadn't. Than my story. It was worse to them than my story because it kept them out there a little bit longer. You know, um, yeah. The difference. It's not much different because if you're only a gambler, then gambling's the hardest one to quit, and if you're only an alcoholic, then alcohol's the only one to quit. That's really difficult. So, I think there's 100 or so 12-step fellowships or more. And if I gave it enough effort, I could probably qualify for most of them. So, you know,
Right,
if I don't overeat, I don't oversex, but I'm sure given enough opportunity, if I wasn't in recovery, truly in recovery, I would go down. I'd overshop, I'd overdo
right.
it. I'd over workaholic, however you want. I don't think there's a Workaholics Anonymous because nobody would attend. They'd be too busy.
Unless they said I have to go to a meeting to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into question 2, gambling. Sports betting, because that's the big one right now, even though now with all the prediction markets, which is essentially also getting into the sports betting. But
Mhm.
what do you see as a bigger problem? Do you think it's the relentless advertising that you pick up your phone and you always see some ad? You can't now, even whether you watch a game or or let's say I'm at the gym and the game is on, the announcers are constantly talking about the odds. They're constantly flashing odds on the bottom of the screen. And the gambling industry loves to say that they don't market to kids. What do you see as any all of that as a problem? Or do you see one as a bigger problem than the other now especially now with all the live betting?
Mm.
What do you see?
Well, it's relentless advertising. That's a good way to form the question. You know, I don't I don't watch sports. Uh, I haven't gambled on sports in quite a number of years, but and I'm not really much of a It's hard to live in Florida and be a. I'm not a Yankees fan, but I am a New York Mets fan, which is kind of like being a Chicago Cubs fan. But
But they at least won in the last 10 years.
yeah, well, they won. They
It took them another 100, but they got one in 10.
we got. Well, it's been almost 40. If we win this year, it'll be 40 years in between drinks, I think. Uh, which I'm used to that. I'm a New York Rangers fan as well, but the idea of the announcers, I never listen to announcers ever. I don't find it necessary. I do my own commentary, which is a problem. But but the advertising and the kids and the industry says they don't advertise to kids. I would beg to differ on that assertion. You know,
Because it's already in the subconscious. Whether or not they market, the kids are watching the game with their dad, and the lines are there.
yeah, yeah, you can't avoid it, right? And then, Daddy, what's that? What does that mean, Daddy? you know,
And then even if you don't watch sports, you just go, I'm just going to watch Sports Center on ESPN. Well, that's
and
even
it's all
worse.
over, right? It's even worse. Yeah, I don't know after I took a bet whether all that meant anything because I was on I was beyond human aid once I took my first bet anyway. So um I'm not sure about all that. They're gonna get our kind pretty good, better than they got us, but it takes what it takes for anybody to admit complete defeat anyway. So I don't know what I think about all of it. Like if they legalize gambling, which they have to a great extent across America, um, how detrimental that'll be for our brothers and sisters that haven't found our help. I mean, it's just maybe there's going to be some silver lining with some hotline information and all that advertising and some. I remember a good friend of mine. You might have had him on the podcast. He stopped in '68 before 1968, and he's really like the foremost authority on this
You're
stuff.
talking about Arnie.
Yeah,
Yeah, Arnie's been on.
yeah. And Arnie, he he started asking the casino industry for help with the national council and the New Jersey council, and they did. They put a lot of money towards it. So hopefully, the people here, the powers that be that are behind the industry, so to speak, the benefactors of all that gambling money that's coming in, whoever that is, even the states. And I think the states, Stevie B is working with New York, and they have some big money for treatment for gambling. So hopefully that'll be the silver lining in all of it.
Yeah, you hope that they actually. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about how to get those funds or who's available, but it's
Yeah.
still such a minor number compared to what they're making. And
Oh
it's almost as
yeah.
like they're
Oh,
willing to, okay, we'll help 10 people, 100 people, but you've got millions that are
in
just
destruction.
losing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you could buy stock in those companies. I don't. I'm assuming that. I'm assuming they're
Yeah, you
publicly
can. Yeah.
traded
Oh, yeah. A
companies.
lot of
Yeah.
them are on the stock exchange, but I
Yeah.
mean, to me, it's just like to me, I wouldn't buy stock in any type of liquor or beer company just on the premise of I'm not going to support what I believe is actual poison, whether it's
Right.
alcohol or gambling. So it's
I
like,
believe the
if it
same
goes
thing.
against your values, don't invest in a company, even if
Absolutely.
you can make money. It's not like
Right.
they say, all money is not good money.
Right. And if if it's an ethical dilemma, which it would be for myself as well, I wouldn't either in either of those two companies. But you don't know, like I don't know what the big conglomerates are involved in, and some of them are probably
But I
involved in
always say, follow the money. If
yeah,
they're putting that much money into these apps into these casino sports books is because they believe that they can make
More.
revenue. They can
Absolutely.
increase the bottom line. They're not stupid.
No. No.
They're
No.
they're doing it because they see a business opportunity, a way to
Right.
make more money. So
Right.
if they're using that as to make more money, then you really need to think, what are my chances to actually win in gambling if 99% of all gamblers lose and only 1% will actually win the lotto or do well? But let's jump into question 3, recovery. What has been your greatest gift in recovery?
Peace of mind. You know, I've been to many, many meetings, 12-step meetings in my life, and I think um, 100% of them either started or ended with the Serenity Prayer, or some of them both start and end with the Serenity Prayer. So that the Serenity Prayer. It's just a design, just the Serenity Prayer in itself, not the whole 12 steps, so to speak, but just the Serenity Prayer in itself is a design for living that's worked for me well, very well. And I would have to say that's the greatest gift. Peace of mind. I don't have to worry when I see my family. This time of year brings a lot of anxiety for a lot of people, not for me. Not for me. And that's amazing. That's an amazing thing, you know. It's a known fact that people that aren't addicts or alcoholics or gamblers, they have tons of anxiety around this time of year. And then also everybody else in our group that does as well. But a number of years practicing the Serenity Prayer, it's the greatest gift, peace and
I
serenity.
agree. And then the other issue is if you're still in the addiction and your anxiety is increasing, you either got to go to the car to smoke a blunt, you either got to take an extra, oh, I'm going to have another beer. I just drank that one way too fast. I need I need a new fill up, or I'm going to be back on my phone placing another bet, whether it's a live bet or it's the next game. And the way the industry is, you can bet now nonstop.
Yeah,
You don't have to do like we used to do, which was the NBA, Major League Baseball, and football. Now you're betting anything that's going on around the world.
I
So
learned a
you can
lot
bet at 2 in
about
the morning.
ping pong and something. Some the in my meetings that talk these kids are talking about. I don't know how they avoid. I don't know how they avoid it. Like you said, 24/7. I did some options trading in my gambling, but this is worse than that because there's still markets that have to. You still have to
Close.
have players in the markets, and all the markets close. So so
But
and
you can actually verify if the market goes up or down. To me, is like I don't even know if those ping pong matches actually
happened.
exist.
Right. It could all be AI and just to take everybody's money. Like they don't even have to. That was why I stopped sports betting because I was with this bookmaker and he said, "You don't have to pay the vig. Just pick. If you're picking, I'm winning. No matter who you are." So there's no professional against the point spread. There's no professional gambler against the point spread. That's a myth. That's a myth. You
I
can't do
agree.
it.
I would take people knew I always had books and people would give me their pets. I wouldn't even put them in. I'll book them myself. These are losers. At least I know I got, like we were talking. I'm gonna get my juice money now.
You're telling my story. People would give me their bets and they would never make it to where they were supposed to go.
But I'm still gonna collect.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And paying is a little iffy situation if they happen to by accident win a bet. Uh,
All right. Any quick last words?
no, just thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody and peaceful every day.
All right. With that, we are going to conclude this episode of the 1% in Recovery.